Welcome to Mr. R's art class. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thumbs, subs, and ring that bell. Okay, so for this project, I'm going to show you how to make a chocolate mold out of some of the 3D models that you might have created previously. So this has to be a certain dimension. This is going to be 11 inches by 5 inches, and it's also going to be 1.5 inches tall. So all your chocolate pieces have to fit within this one chocolate box. You're going to have 12 different chocolate pieces. Also try to have 12 different chocolate molds as well. So for this example, I'm going to break it down to just maybe 4 different types of chocolate molds here. I'm going to create the box with you, and then I'm also going to show you how and why we create some of these chocolate pieces a little bit more rounded. I'm also going to show you why we smooth out some of these shapes like the cylinder and the cube to make these different types of chocolate here so that they fall out of the mold easier. We're going to learn about positive space and negative space once we start making those molds. But the main challenge here is to make those 12 pieces of chocolate fit inside this one box here using models that you might have created previously. So let's go and get started. So the first thing you want to do is download any of the 3D models that you want to use for this chocolate mold. So all of the molds that you create for this project have to be a certain type of theme, right? So for this example, this is the Scream mask. So this would be maybe a scary movie type of theme. If maybe you're going to have a video game theme, right? Some of your chocolate pieces have to be from different video games or from the same video game that could just be different characters. So they have to have a certain type of theme, whether that's anime or comic book, a movie, a show. Each chocolate piece has to be related to each other. So for this tutorial, I'm going to show you just using some of the 3D models that I already have. So go ahead and download any of the models that you think you're going to be using to create this themed chocolate box. So I'm just going to download these so I could show you as an example. And then you're going to download them as an STL. And I'm going to go back and download the Among Us character. I'm just clicking on it, clicking on download, and saving it as an STL. Once you get the prompt that you downloaded, you could go back and find another model that you're probably going to use for this chocolate mold. Make sure when you're creating some of these 3D models for your chocolate mold that the edges are a lot smoother than this example here. That might not come out of the mold correctly, and it might be really hard to take that out of a mold once we actually make it. So I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to grab one of these Lego people here. Same thing with the hands. Maybe that might not come out the way you think they're going to come out, especially if we're going to use chocolate for these molds here. I'm going to click on download on this one, STL. And all of those are going to go straight to my downloads folder. So once it prompts you that it is inside your downloads folder, we can come down here to the File Explorer. I'm going to open up my downloads. I'm going to hold down Control N. And let's make a project folder. I'm going to go over here to Documents, the academic year we're currently in, the period you have my class, the semester we're currently in, and let's make a folder for this project. Over to New Folder. And let's call it Chocolate Box. I'm dragging those files over and just going inside there and make sure that they went inside the correct folder. And there they are. Alright, so I'm gonna keep down the downloads folder because I believe I am gonna need that once I download this chocolate box from Tinkercad to download. Alright, so let's go back to Tinkercad. And I'm gonna scroll back up to create new design. I'm going to change the file name. And I'm going to start with creating the box that we need for this chocolate box. So it has to be a certain dimension. So I'm going to click on box. I'm going to pour it towards the center. Something that I'm going to do is I'm going to edit grid. I'm going to change it to inches. The length of the chocolate box needs to be 11 inches, so let me make the width of this grid a little bit bigger than that. So let's do 12 by 12, and again this is going to be in inches. Alright, so there is my box there. You could grab these sides and edit it this way. So I'm going to click on this front left-hand corner here. The depth of this box is going to be or the width of this box, depending on how you look at it, is going to be 5 inches. I'm going to zoom out here, and then the length of this box here, I'm going to click over here on this box, is going to be 11 inches, and then I'm going to scoot this over. The height of this box, so I'm going to click on this one here. Might have to change your angle so you can bring up some of these other dimensions that you need to change. The height of this box is going to be 1.5 inches. So there we go. Now we need to hollow this out here, right? This is going to be the total size of this box, but we need to hollow this out so we can actually put our chocolates inside of there. So I'm going to duplicate this box. I'm going to hover over here. Got the duplicate button. So you could hold down Control, tap the letter D, or you could hold down Control C and then Control V. Either one that you prefer. So I'm going to duplicate. It's going to duplicate. If you duplicate, it's going to put it in the exact same spot. So I'm going to just duplicate it. I'm going to hold down Shift to grab that middle square there and make it just a little bit smaller. So let's see the dimensions that it made it. So it made it 10 inches. So it's about a ½ inch on each side. Maybe we could make that even there. So let's do 10 inches. And then maybe 4.5. And then the height here is going to be just about the same. We just need to raise this just a little bit so that we have this box just above the bottom of the box itself. Alright, so we're going to make this inner rectangle here a hole. So I'm going to create a hole. And I'm going to change the color of this box here. I'm going to change it maybe gold. You can change it whatever color you want. So I'm going to click on the hole, hold down Shift, grab on the outer box. And I'm going to click over here where it says Align. And I clicked on this middle indicator here. I'm going to also click over here on the side, so that this rectangle in the middle is centered. Okay, since I still have it selected, since I have both rectangles selected, I'm going to click on Merge or Group. And there's my chocolate box there. So I need to be able to fit my 12 pieces here inside of this box. Alright, so I have that box created. Now I need to go over here to Import, choose a file. Before that, let me go ahead and go back. I'm going to move this box a little bit back because it actually drops these models in the center and you might not be able to see them, or you might not think that they're being imported. So I'm going to click on Import, choose a file. I'm going to go over to the project folder, which it already put me inside of. Let's pretend it didn't. So I'm going to go over to Documents, the academic year we're currently in, the period you have my class, the semester you have my class, the project folder. And I'm going to start bringing these in here. Import. Alright, so here's my character. Here's my Among Us character. And first I want to get my chocolate shapes as well. So I'm going to come over here to the right, click on a cube. This might actually be a decent size here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to hold down Shift and grab a corner. So you can have any size chocolate. They just have to be able to fit 12 of them inside of this box here. So you can look up examples of chocolate boxes and see how the different types of styles that they have and be able to fit those characters on the pieces of chocolate would be the challenge. All right, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to go to top view just to try it out real fast. You also want to create some space between these pieces of chocolate, right? So I need to be able to fit 6 on top and then 6 on the bottom, or whatever size your chocolates are. You just have to be able to fit 12 different pieces. So I think this is okay here. Let me hit undo and rotated the shape there. And I'm going to click on this drop down box. I have box selected. Click on the drop down menu. And then I'm going to click over here where it says radius, and I'm going to round out this piece of chocolate. And because it rounded out, that piece actually got a little bit smaller, which might allow me to make this piece of chocolate a little bit bigger. So you want to have these edges rounded because that's going to make it a lot easier for the mold to separate from the 3D printed model. And it's also going to make it easier to separate the chocolate if we use these as a chocolate mold. All right, so I'm going to go to the top view. I want to make these a little bit bigger, so I'm going to hold down a Shift button, click a corner, and it looks like This is a good size here, so it's 1 3/8 of an inch. And I'm going to grab a cylinder, which could also be a shape of a piece of chocolate. So I'm going to grab a corner, but hold down Shift first. Grab a corner. Maybe do around the same size on 1 3/8. You also want to check the height of these, right? So I'm going to have to lower that piece of chocolate in the back a little bit. But before that, I'm going to click back on the cylinder and add some sides to this, because before that there was a lot of edges. I'm going to hit the back button so you could see that this cylinder is not perfectly round. Alright, so I'm going to add some sides to it to smooth it out, and then add some bevels to round out the edges there, and also increase some segments. Alright, so it actually shortened up that piece of chocolate, so I think that one's okay. I just need to lower the height of this box. So I'm going to click on this top white square and lower just a bit. I'm going to have my Among Us character hanging out of there. Alright, and then I'm also going to lower the height of this piece of chocolate. Alright, so I got two different shapes of chocolate here. I'm going to now have to scale down my 3D model and then bring the other models in. So I'm going to, I already have my character created, so I'm going to hold down Shift, click on this top box here, and it's going to scale it down all the way. Right, so I think that's a good size there. And I'm going to go from the side view and then change this about 45 degrees so that you could just see the face of the Among Us character. And I'm going to place this as if it was coming out of the chocolate bag like that. Might even be able to make it a little bit smaller, or might have to make it a little bit smaller. Alright, so before I merge this with the piece of chocolate, I'm going to copy these shapes because I'm going to use them for the other molds. So I'm going to hold down Duplicate, and I'm going to alternate these shapes here of chocolate. So maybe I could bring that over, move that to the back. I'm going to duplicate. And you can use the same size types of chocolate, you just have to have different types of molds for these chocolate pieces. So I'm going to click on these, go to top view, maybe zoom in a bit, and duplicate, scoot those over. So right now I have 8 pieces. I need to be able to fit 4 more, so you just need to scoot these over just a bit. Or you could go back to that original box, ungroup, and maybe make these sides a little bit smaller. Or you could just make your chocolate pieces a little bit smaller. Right? You can also zoom in to see where you have space, but you do want to create some space and have space for these pieces of chocolate here. So I'm just creating space between these pieces here and just scooting them over just a little bit. Alright, so I need to be able to fit 4 more in here. Held down Shift to grab all the different shapes. I'm going to duplicate, scoot over, and then drag those over. So I could also have those chocolate pieces where I want them, but also scale them down as well. I'm gonna go from angle here, Shift, and then scale them all down. Go from the top view, give them some more space on the sides there. Alright, so there are my pieces of chocolate, and I'm going to bring in my 3D models. So there's one piece. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to create 4 different models here for the chocolate molds. I'm going to import another piece here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Lego person. Again, this might be too detailed here. You might have to just use a portion of the Lego man. Maybe just the head of the Lego person could be sticking out of the piece of chocolate. These hands might be too detailed to actually create inside of a chocolate mold. Let's do about maybe 45 degrees again, see what that looks like. Might have to do negative 45. Now it would be a negative 90. Go to the right view. Top view. And maybe make this a little bit smaller. Bring it over. And then drag up. And then make sure it's not going past the top of this box here, which it is. So I might have to make this a little bit smaller. Alright, so you can just make it look like some of these characters got stuck inside of the chocolate pieces. That's okay too. Just careful with the feet there. I can see that they're kind of poking out of the bottom there. That might create an issue with your mold. Alright, so let's import another piece of chocolate. Alright, so let's import another 3D model. And again, this example that I'm about to import is not the best example because it is too detailed. So again, whenever you have a 3D model, you want to round out some of the edges if you're able to. Alright, so I'm going to rotate this. Go ahead and just do a negative 90 here. And then scale it down, hold down Shift. And then zoom in so I don't grab one of these handles by accident. Lift it up a bit, scale it down. Maybe this might be a little bit better for the rounded chocolate here. Scale it down. And then bring the model up. Alright, so I think that might be okay there. Let me just check this side. Okay. And then my last 3D model I'm about to bring in. Let's go and do that. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and scale it down. I'm just going to fix this pumpkin here real fast. And hold down Shift on that chocolate there and align. There we go. So now that's centered. Let's go ahead and bring this one over. Might have to zoom in a bit so that you don't grab one of these handles here by accident. And remember, you can always change the angle. Go to left view. top view might be better for this one. You can drop it down just a bit. And then get a little bit closer so I could scale it down and grab one of these handles. Okay, now I'm going to go to the front view here and make sure that none of these chocolates are going over the top view. Maybe just that Among Us character just a little bit. I'm going to hold down Shift, scale down just a little bit. Lego Man seems to be okay. Right, we have to pretend that this is a chocolate box and that a cover needs to go over this chocolate box. That's why I'm trying to give it some space here with the top of that chocolate box there. I'm going to center this. I'm going to hold down Shift with my 3D model, click on the type of chocolate, click on a line to center it. I'm going to grab these handles here. And that one's centered. If I do the same thing with this Among Us, clicking on the model, holding down Shift, clicking on the chocolate piece, clicking on a line, and then clicking these handles here to center those two pieces. Alright, so again, come up with 12 different chocolate pieces here. Let's go ahead and change the colors. I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to group them. I can group my chocolate pieces. Holding down the model, holding down Shift, then the chocolate piece, group. And we could change the colors here in a little while. Model, hold down Shift, grab the chocolate piece, group, model, hold down Shift, chocolate piece, and group. And they might take a little while here to group. Alright, so you could have different types of chocolate. You could have white chocolate, dark chocolate. So that's something else you could also consider. Alright, but I'm going to go ahead and ungroup these real fast so I could reuse these models. Alright, there we go. So now we just have to group them back. Again, you want to be kind of zoomed in so you could not make any mistakes here. So an indicator that they're grouped might be that both of these pieces are the same color. That's how you know that you've grouped them correctly. Alright, there we go. Now let's just change to actual chocolate colors here. So even though we're changing the colors here, it really depends on whatever type of chocolate that you're going to be pouring these into. These molds will also not be these colors, right? It'll be the color of whatever 3D filament that you're using. Right, but this would be a good example of what your molds should look like here. They might not be the best example when it comes to how detailed these are. Again, you want to make sure that some of your models are a little bit rounded so that they could actually come out of the mold a lot easier, especially if we're pouring chocolate. If this was chocolate here, that might actually snap off, right? If this was a mold and we were taking the mold off of, and we were taking the chocolate out of the mold. All right, so let's go ahead and export this as an STL. And we have a lot of 3D models in here, right? So it might take a little while, so give it some time. And it's going to export it to your downloads folder. All right, so I'm going to go over to my downloads folder. There it is there. So you would export this STL of your chocolate box into Teams to submit this assignment. Some of those 3D models that you might have already used, you could also attach those to the Teams project. All right, so if you have any questions of how to export any of your 3D models that you previously used, if they have to deal with this themed chocolate box, if you need help scaling down some of these 3D models, if you need help creating some of the chocolate shapes, or figuring out if maybe some of your 3D models might be too complex or detailed, then go ahead and let me know. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And feel free to watch any of the other related videos.